All right, welcome back. We've taken all this time to create this complicated side. Now let's just pattern out really fast and make a bunch of them. So to do that, we're going to do create, and we're going to do a pattern and a rectangular pattern. And we want to click here and say bodies, not faces or features. And then for the direction, let's select our body first. So our object that we want to pattern is this. The direction we want to go is along this red one. And then we're going to push backwards, and we're going to do this to minus 29. And we're going to make 5 of them. So we've got a minus 25 for the distance, a quantity of 5, and an extent set here. And we're going to just say OK. And we just made 5 of those, which is super fast and nice to do. Now these middle 3, we're going to modify those in just a second. Well, let's do that in a second. Next thing I want to do though is I want to create the deck, the curved deck. To do that, we're going to create a sketch right on this right. So let me show you where I am. So right in this right side face, we're going to create a sketch there. We're going to use the P for project tool, and we're going to project on this curve onto our sketch. And when we did that, notice it put a little dot here. That dot is the center point of this curve, of that circle we used earlier. So now we know where the center of the circle is. So what I'm going to do is create a circle tool, click here, and I'm going to just click a circle like kind of close like that. Now I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to do the, well, let me hide the bodies real quick. We need to name our bodies at some point. Well, we'll do that later. I'll just leave them on. So I'm going to use the dimensioning tool. I'm going to dimension between here and this purple one. I'm going to click in the middle to place it, and I'm going to call this one thickness, and enter. And now that's one thickness away from each one. Awesome, so far so good. Now what we need to do is come down here and create a flat section. So right here, the circle starts curving away. I'm going to come here, I'm going to click on this corner, I'm going to come over to this one, and I'm going to call this dimension, yep, should be 5, that's good. Tab, and then this should be thickness, enter. And notice that when I type it in, I get this little lock symbol next to it. I can't show you, but there's little locks on there. That means it's going to be locked into that size. So that's good. And then up here, we got to do something a little bit weird. So we need to place the coping in. The coping is that pipe going across the top. I guess you guys probably know what coping is if you're making this project. So I'm going to click on the line tool. I'm going to come over here to the construction, and I want that coping to come off the edge like 45 degrees so that you can kind of hit it on the front and the top, if that makes sense. So I'm going to click here. Oops. Ooh, something went dramatically wrong. Look, I made a little extra line in there. So I'm going to Control Z until I get rid of that line. Come in here. I'm going to click, and then I'm going to go off at a 45-degree angle. Now this is like 90 right here. So I want to be 45-degree angle off that. So 45 plus 90 is 135. So I'm just type in 135. And that's like a 45-degree right up there. And I'm just going to make it, doesn't matter how long I make it, I'm going to make it up there and just click. Escape to get out of that tool. Now I'm going to create the end of the coping. So the coping is this metal. And I'm going to create a circle for the end of this thing. And I've already measured it. It was 0.325 centimeters. So I'm going to grab a circle tool. I'm going to put the circle on this line. The only place I want to avoid is this center point. If I put it here, I won't be able to move it around. So I'm going to put it down over here somewhere. And I'm going to turn off my construction lines. And I'm going to do 0.325 for the diameter. Hit enter. And now I'm just going to grab my coincidence tool, zoom in, click on my coping circle, and click on this corner right there. That's where my coping's going to go. Notice that this turned blue because now it's been closed. Excuse me. This is going to be the deck. I don't want the deck to have this weird kind of cup shape at the end. It needs to be flat because I'm cutting it with a laser. The laser can't cut a curve into it, right? So to do that, I'm going to zoom in a bunch. I'm going to come down here below my circle somewhere. I'm going to create a line. I'm going to make sure my construction is on. So I'm going to click on the circle, and I'm just going to create a line that kind of comes down and say this angle like this. and I'm going to hit escape. I'm going to come back to here. I'm going to go back to that point where I put that line right there. I can see the little green square shows up when I find it. I'm going to pull out, and I'm looking for this little right angle symbol, that little blue square in the corner. I'm looking for that. And if I get that right, I get a little perpendicular symbol here, a little T shape here. If I don't, I'm going to redo that real quick and show you if I do it wrong. If I don't do it straight at 90 degrees, I don't get that little T shape. But that's also okay because I can come up here to the perpendicular constraint. I can click on this line and this other line, and it will force them into being 90 degrees. I get that little point here. So however you did it, it doesn't matter. It's totally fine. If yours are twisted different than mine, it's totally fine as well. We're going to fix that right now. So we want this line to be tangent to, like in line with this circle. So I'm going to click the tangent button. This lower one, I'm going to put tangent to there. And it shot it way out here for some strange reason. I'm going to Control Z that. I'm going to see why it would do that. Okay, so I'm going to Control Z it again and again. I'm going to go back and redraw that line because it flipped it the wrong way for me. So I'm going to do here, construction line, go back to that corner, and then just move it around until I get that right angle. Good. Now it'll do it correctly. So I'm going to tangent this line to that one, and I get a nice tangent line there and a nice curve up here. So this is the line that I want to have end my deck. So I'm going to actually do this. I'm going to say escape. I'm going to grab this line and move it down this way some, just to the other side of the circle at least. And now I'm going to do a tangent. I'm going to say I want this line to be tangent to that circle. Just like that. So now they're snapped together. And now I just need to draw a real line instead of that line. I need to draw a real line right across that construction line to the edge there. And now that'll give me an edge to stop the extrusion. That was a lot of effort to draw that one tiny little line. All right. And that I think is it. Now we're ready to extrude the deck out. So we're going to hit E for extrude. We're going to come in here just to make sure everything is doing right. Click here. Make sure those aren't clicked, right? That should all be dead space. And then all of this should be good. And down here should be problematic still. Yep. So we still need to include this one, and that one. And then I'm going to click back out to here, and I'm going to flip it to the other side. And I'm going to extrude, to an object. I'm going to extrude to this outside face. Yep, got it. And then I'm going to go from cut to new body, and I'm going to click OK. And now I need to take care, because now I've got a lot of bodies, and I don't know what they are. So this is the right side. So I'm going to call this R side. I'm going to call this one right middle, so R mid. This one is the straight up middle. This one is the left middle, L mid. And this one is the L side. And then this one is the deck. Awesome. So I have all those. In fact, I'm going to do something and create a new group here, because we're going to make a few more pieces, and I'm going to organize them. So I'm going to say these are the sides. And in there, I'm going to put, I don't know, art side, M, middle. I'm going to put all of those in with the sides. Now I can hide the sides with just one click. Okay. So when I hit the sides, I notice I haven't cut the holes yet because there's no holes there. Before I do that, though, what I'm going to do is I'm going to flatten this out. Our laser can't cut something on a curve like this. I'll have no idea what to do with it. So we need to flatten this out. To do that, we've got to use what's called sheet metal tools. So sheet metal, when you create things out of sheet metal, you literally cut a flat pattern and then fold it and bend it into place like you're supposed to. So Fusion lets you undo these bends so you could have a flat pattern to do, just what we're doing. Even though it's out of plywood, we can use a sheet metal tool. So we're going to create, convert to sheet metal, and we're going to click on this object, and we're going to use the aluminum millimeter rules for it, and we're going to say OK. And now you can see it just converted the deck to sheet metal. It has this little U-shaped sheet metal symbol here now. And here's the cool thing about it. Now we can go to modify, and we can do unfold. We can click on what's called the stationary entity. That's the part that's going to stay flat, and it's going to flatten to that part. So down here, this flat part of the deck is what we want to use, and notice how it just flattened that curve out for us. So now that curve is the exact right size to fit that, or this flat panel is the exact right size to fit that curve. That's what we needed. I'm going to click cancel because we don't need to do that yet, but we're ready to do that whenever we are, when we're totally done. Okay, so now what I need to do is cut the holes in the bottom of this thing. So what I'm going to do here is come here to create, oops, nope, I'm going to go back to solid bodies, up to solid tab up here. And I'm going to just do a quick combine. So I'm going to cut this one, and I'm going to use all of these back vertical pieces to cut into the deck. And I'm going to do a cut command. So make sure if this says join, make sure to switch it to cut. And then if it doesn't say keep tools, make sure you click on keep tools here and then click OK. And when I do that, if I hide the sides, I can see now I've cut the holes into the bottom of the deck. So that's all awesome. Okay. Next thing that we're going to do is do the coping. Let's add the coping in real quick. So I'm going to do the coping based on the sketch that we already have. I think it's sketch 2. Let me zoom in. Yep, there's the circle for our coping. So we're going to extrude the coping from this circle because we've already placed it. So I'm going to use E for extrude, and I'm going to click on the coping, and then, oh, look at that. There's a little clipped edge here. I'm going to get that one as well. So that would have been tricky to miss. And then I'm just going to flip this all the way over to this other side. I'm going to say extrude to an object. We're going to go to this outside face. Yep. And we're going to do new body and click OK. And that body's going to show up, and we're going to call body 7. We're going to type in there coping. Okay. Now let's go back to the home view. We've got so much done. Oh, I'm going to turn off sketch 2 because that's going to be really in the way. We've gotten so much done so far. Now we need to create the top, the back, and the bottom. And we're going to do this before this video is over. We're going to make them really fast. To make the top, we're going to just create it on the side here. So I'm going to click here. Create a sketch on this outside side. I'm just going to draw a rectangle. This time I'm going to draw it way up here in space. And I'm not going to dimension anything to start with. I'm just going to draw a rectangle. Now I'm going to use my constraint tool. So I'm going to say, hey, I want this side of the rectangle to be even with this bottom piece here. I want the top of this rectangle to be even with that top of the tab. I want the right side to be even with this back tab way out here. And I'm going to do escape to get out of the collinear tool. Oh, so that was, I don't know if I said that. That was the collinear tool. It means line up two lines that aren't lined up, if that makes sense. And then I want this one to barely touch this circle. And when I want something to touch a circle, I just use the tangent tool, click on that line, click on the circle, and now it's touching. I'm going to extrude this, choosing all of these. I'm going to tip it to home, rotate around to the other side. I'm going to do a extrusion to this outside edge. I'm going to switch from cut to new body. I'm going to click OK. Now the back piece I'm going to actually do from the top, and I'm going to extrude it down. So I'm going to do a quick sketch on this top piece. I'm going to come in here, grab my rectangle tool. From that corner, I'm going to drag over, and I'm going to make the height of it here thickness, TH. And then I'm just going to drop it short of. I can try to line it up and click it here. I like to drop it short and then grab the collinear tool and then say, I want you to exactly line up this one with that one. And that makes it perfect every time. So I don't have to worry about, did I quite get it in there correctly? Now I'm going to extrude that rectangle. Go back to home. I'm going to look down at this bottom corner underneath here because I want to extrude this all the way down to the bottom of this face right there. So I'm going to do distance to object to the bottom of this, and I got it in there. I'm going to switch the cut over to new body. I'm going to click OK. Now I've got one more to do. I've got to do the base. So they've got to have the plywood going all the way across the base. So I'm going to click over here on this left view. I'm going to click on the home view real quick. I'm going to create the sketch on this side, and this time I'm going to turn off everything except the thing I need. So I'm going to turn the sides, I want the sides on. I want the right side on. The rest of the sides are going off. Let me rotate this. I don't need the deck on. I don't need the coping. I don't need the top. or the back. Yeah, I just want that one side on. Now I'm going to square up to my drawing again. And now I'm going to do a rectangle starting from this corner, going all the way like this. That dimension should be thickness times asterisk 2. I'm going to get close to the edge, but not quite there. Grab my collinear tool and say line up this line with that one. So now it's perfect. I'm going to hit E for extrude. I'm going to choose all these pieces in here. Rotate out to home. Turn everything back on because now I need to see what I'm doing. Rotate around to the other side, and I'm going to say, hey, I want to extrude a distance to an object right to this object, and I want to create a new body. Click OK. Awesome. And there it is. All the pieces are made now. Boom, 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 boom. We still need to cut all the joints in them, but we're doing pretty well. Before we end this video, let's do one last thing. Let's change these bodies to their names. So body 8 for me is top. Body 9 is back. And body 10 is base. Awesome. So we've got all those things named. We got to just cut the joints in them, and we are ready to start flattening. Good job. Hang in there. We're almost there.